Welcome to Peninsula Seniors Out and About. Today we're at Dave's Garage for a tour of Dave Parker's car collection. Let's go inside and meet Dave. We're here with Dave Parker. We're in Dave's Garage. Dave, how did you get to collecting all these cars?
Well, it was a total accident. If the truth be known, I'm the founder and Pelican of Pelican Products. I sold my company a couple years ago, and they kicked me out. So I was banished over here to one of our buildings, which I set up, Dave's Garage, and the collection just kind of happened. And it's a collection of cars of all kinds, all makes. There's no method to my madness other than I have just a lot of different cars, and just about every car has a story.
Let's go have a look.
Okay. Let's start with one of my favorites. This is one of Parnelli Jones' famous Boss 302s, 1970 Mustangs. This is the car, or one of the cars, that Parnelli made so famous in the 70s, winning everything in sight. It is a 325 horsepower, 302 cubic inches, thus the name Boss 302 Mustang. This put Ford on the map with their Mustangs. Up until then, they were kind of ho-hum, and they came into the limelight with this 302, where all the great race car drivers ended up driving this car at one time or another. This is a mural of that same car I just showed you. This is Parnelli driving it. Parnelli Jones is a friend of mine. And he came in here one afternoon, and I had that mural on the wall, and he walked up to it, and he says, "My God, that's my car. That's me behind the wheel." And he signed it for me in the left-hand fender there. He signed it for me. And this is an actual picture that I picked up somewhere along the line of him in an actual race sometime in the early 70s. This is the famous Boss 302 Ford as it comes from the factory. This is what they look like before the likes of Parnelli Jones and A.J. Foyt and all the heroes took them apart, put their little twists in them, put their special paint jobs, took out the headlights, and just kind of made them over. But this is the way the car started and the engine that it started with. We get under the hood of Parnelli's famous 302. There's a 302 cubic inch, 325 strong horsepower, has a 4-speed transmission. This was the darling of the racing world in the 1970s. Okay, the interior is pretty average. It's all black, which was the big thing during the day. It has a Hurst transmission, 2 seats in the front, no seats in the back, and this is the way they came from the factory. This was my very first car that I collected. This is a 55 T-Bird. This is the icon of all the Fords. In the 50s, my era, everybody and their brother had to have this radical new 55 Thunderbird. The story about this one is very simple. I had a next-door neighbor whose father worked for Ford, and he had one of these things, a very low number, and he was not a very nice person, but he had this beautiful 55 T-Bird, and I hung around with him along with everybody else because the girls liked it too. Now, this particular one is number 219. That early, it's perfectly restored, numbers matching. It took me a long time to find this car, and it is a beauty. The interior of this car, which is totally original, was really dynamic. First of all, the speedometer went up to 150 miles an hour. And when you're a young guy living in Detroit that's 18 years old and you've got a car that with a speedometer with 150 miles an hour, you're kind of special. And this car was kind of special. It has a special place in my memories, and it's something that I collected, and I drive it on a regular basis, to be perfectly honest with you. Looking at the engine compartment of this 55, this was the first year that they went to an overhead valve V8. It's 191 horsepower, 292 cubic inches. It was quite an engine in its time. Today it's really nothing, but in those days this was the hot ticket. Now if you're a collector of Thunderbirds, the second Thunderbird you want to own is a 1957 Thunderbird. That is also a very notable car. It is the famous one with the portholes. The little portholes on the side tell the whole story. This is, as I say, a 57. It's 312 cubic inches, and it has 270 horsepower as stock from the factory. And this was probably the last year that Thunderbird tried to race against Corvettes. And there were several of these cars made with turbochargers and superchargers to compete with the Corvettes, but of course we all know they couldn't do it, and they dropped out of the racing world after 1957. Now if you're into 57 Thunderbirds, you have to have one of these or something like this. This is a 1957 Thunderbird like the last one, but its claim to fame is its color and interior. They only made 17 of these, peach custom color with an entirely white interior. The whole interior is white leather. It was just a few. This particular one last year took the gold award at the Concours Pebble Beach. It's a beautiful car. Once again, absolutely numbers matching, absolutely original with the exception of the rubber. So we talked a little bit about Thunderbird. Let's jump over to the Corvette side of the equation because the big thing is either you're a Corvette lover or you're a Thunderbird lover. I am both. This particular one is a 1961 348 cubic inch bug-eyed Corvette. They were known as bug-eyed because they had two lenses in the front that from the front looked like a big bug. This is once again, this is a numbers matching 61, and this was the hot color in 1961. Fire engine red interior, and a white top, and it doesn't get much hotter than this if you're a young guy chasing females around. Okay, now moving up in the Corvette, I have two Corvettes. I have five Corvettes, but this is a 67 Corvette hardtop. This one is a 327 Corvette. It is a 400 horsepower, very muscular version of the Corvettes that the Corvette slot guys love to drive these. I have both the 327 and then I have the big block 429, the really big ones that the guys really like. So if you're not chasing women when you're a teenager, when I was a teenager, I was in this Corvette racing up and down the streets of Detroit. Okay, this one is one of my favorites. This is a 1955 Sunliner hardtop. It's the first year that Ford brought out a totally transparent opera roof. They called them aqua roofs in those days. Just clear plastic, and this is the first year. Of course, every car in the world has them now, but this is the first one. Now, this particular color is not the same car, but it's a car identical to my longtime high school girlfriend had, and I have many, many pleasant dreams and thoughts of her and the two of us in this car tooling around the Detroit streets. This was known in Ford circles as the Easter Bunny Special. They only made a few of these, and this year only, and it sure is a beautiful car. Okay, the interior of this car is equally sexy. This is what's known as a stick shift or three-on-the-tree transmission. That means it has a three-speed transmission, and the transmission lever was on the steering column. It also has a 150-mile-an-hour speedometer. It wouldn't go that fast, but everybody liked to think it would. And this brings back a lot of memories. The other part that is totally new and